Hey guys, sorry it's been such a long time. I've been in New Zealand and working hard on my writing and stuff like that. Haven't quite got around to it, but I wanted to do my first tutorial slash activity today. Um, Today's tutorial is on generating ideas because I know some of you have trouble sometimes generating ideas, and you often ask me how I come up with my ideas. So I thought I'd just go through a bunch of different ways that work for me, and maybe you can try them out and see if they work. At least one of them's got to work, surely. So I got a bunch of different ideas I'm going to run through. Um, the first one is basically brainstorming and mind mapping. And this is super simple, and I know a lot of people that use it, and it's very successful for me. Basically, mind mapping, you want to start out with a blank page, obviously, and I guess you want a initial concept. So I don't know, maybe you want to write about time travel. And then from there, what you can either do is you can branch out with things that logically follow from time travel, or you can just put down around a bunch of random things that you find interesting. So what I find interesting, juxtaposition to time travel. So I might put monkeys, and I might have time traveling monkeys, or something else that I associate with time travel is obviously dinosaurs. Time travel back to the dinosaurs, or have time traveling dinosaurs. I don't know. I think it's good to use mind mapping and juxtapose ideas, because you can come up with some really interesting things so you're not just writing what everyone else is writing. So that's the method of mind mapping that I use the most. But sometimes I think it is useful to do the other method, which is kind of put down a concept that you want to write about. Maybe you don't know exactly how you want to write about it or from what perspective. And then through the process of mind mapping, you can kind of determine that. So say I want to write a story about tennis. I love tennis. I've never read a tennis story before, so maybe that's why I want to write about it. So instantly I'd put down, Federer, Nadal, people like that. Even their names, because they have such unique names that it might even inspire something. I'd put down things like net, rally, balls. And balls is kind of like, reminds me of ball boys. Ball boys. And they're kind of a minority. No one really focuses on the ball boy. And that's an idea right there. It'd be quite interesting to focus on a ball boy, because they're not focused on. And who knows, it could be like an underdog rises up kind of story. They become a famous tennis player, or something like that. It's whether you find this story interesting is irrelevant, because it's just proof of concept that you can start out with anything and create something quite cool. Grand Slam, big tennis tournament, $30 million prize money, and you can go into conspiracy or whatever. So yeah, anyway, that's mind mapping. So my next point for idea generation is notebooks. And again, this is so simple, but I don't think a lot of people do it. If you have an idea, no matter how silly it is, or how brilliant it is, but you feel like you maybe can't write it at the time, put it in a notebook and just, leave it wherever. I've got this huge stack of notebooks from the past 5 years or so. And, all of them have ideas in them. Some of them are crap, some of them are good. But I like every now and then when I'm stuck to go through and pick out, little fragments. Like maybe a story is really really crap, but it's got a good idea in it, like at its core, or maybe one of the characters looks good. So there's a lot of things that you can pick from negatives and from old material. So I really encourage you guys to keep as many notebooks as you can. And I don't know, there's something really aesthetically pleasing about a lot of notebooks, especially these awesome typo ones, which have just like the best covers ever. Even that I find kind of inspirational. Yeah, so keep notebooks, guys, and try not to get flooded by them. What else? TV shows. I get a lot of inspiration from TV shows that I watch. Obviously, I don't, rip them off. I don't see an episode and go, oh, I really want to write that exact thing. But little things, characters, or little ideas might inspire me. Community is a massive inspiration because they just have so many different ideas. Each episode is kind of a new concept, and they do it in a different style. And obviously all the different characters, you can kind of enjoy a lot of inspiration from that. Things like this, Mighty Boosh, so bizarre and just weird, and you wonder how they come up with some of those wacky ideas. And so that's kind of that mind mapping I did earlier, where you juxtapose random ideas that you like. That would probably get you somewhere close to where Mighty Boosh goes, because they're just weirdos, they're wackos. And my favorite show, which I know a lot of people hate, whatever, Lost. I mean, that's got a lot of really good ideas in it as well, like especially in the flashbacks and stuff. They create character very, very well through that. So that's inspiration. My notebook pile has collapsed and taken out a significant amount of other things on it there. Movies as well. Movies definitely inspire me. I'm a big movie person. Pulp Fiction, favorite movie, amazing. So many things in that. Tarantino fanboys, put Kill Bill and stuff like that. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is amazing because it's 3 hours long. It's an epic film. It's got so many ideas in it and characters and locations, and you can just draw so much from it. Memento, amazing film. And then like films from your childhood that the ones that you just won't hear anything bad said about. Like for me, it's Hackers. I love it so much, but just thinking about it makes me excited because it takes me back to my childhood and how excited I was, and before I was like cynical about movies. And at its concept, it's a pretty cool idea. At its core, sorry. And even just any type of movie you can find inspiration from. Like, I have to admit, I'm a pretty big fan of chick flicks, but you wouldn't think that a chick flick would help me in writing, I don't know, a science fiction novel or something. But like a movie like this, Private Lives of Pippi, it's incredible. Again, it's like all those different fragments that come together, and the characters and the situations, and you can just come up with so many good ideas. And it's got Keanu Reeves in it. Neo, wow. You're gonna get inspiration. And even bad movies. I encourage you guys to watch bad movies, because then you know what good movies look like, you know what good ideas look like. And sometimes they just have the weirdest combination of stuff. Exhibit A. Jim Carter. The explosive combination of gymnastics and kung fu. No, sorry, karate. So you've got Jim Carter. So you've got a guy who practices both. There's an amazing scene where he's in an alleyway, and there just happens to be parallel bars there. So he jumps up on them, happens to be guys chasing after him, swings around, these guys come through on motorbikes, and boom, he kicks them off. It's so terrible, but amazingly terrible. So it can help you generate ideas. Other books, obviously. Frankenstein. I mean, that's a classic. Like, some of the classics are quite dense, hard to get through, like 600 pages, and you're like, why are you spending an entire chapter describing a field? But Frankenstein's amazing. The way it's framed, the way it's written, everything about it. Slaughterhouse 5, Kurt Vonnegut, amazing author. Book Thief. I love this book. It's just great because like it really experiments with prose and form. There's a lot of things in there. It's it's got some pictures, and like little bits where like the layout is just completely different to what you'd usually see. And it's a very poetic book. It's an amazing book. If you haven't read it, I definitely think you should. I get a lot of inspiration from Philip K. Dick, obviously, to Andrew's Dream of Electric Sheep, which later on was based off. So, Scanner Darkly, just finished that recently. Amazing book. Three Stigmata, Philip K. Dick's short story collections. Douglas Coupland is amazing also. He writes in the style of that I like to write now, and it's very fragmented, and he likes using pictures as well. It's so meta. Anna, Cloud Atlas. I love that book so much, and the structure is just amazing. Like 6 different stories. So yeah, that's other books as well. So that's kind of external inspiration, apart from my method, which is obviously internal. But also, I draw a lot of inspiration on my ideas from life experience. I'm sure you guys do as well. But maybe it's subconscious. Like maybe you've got to go out and actually make it happen. So I get inspiration from people that I've met or people that I know. The way they talk can often influence my characters, and the way people look and stuff like that. So I quite like getting into interesting conversations with people, or even arguments, to find out the different ways that people react, and sound like a social experiment, but it's not. I mean, I am interested in the conversations, but if it benefits me in some way, I can put it into my writing. So yeah, even like I encourage you guys to. It sounds creepy, and if you get arrested, like don't quote me, but just to like sit in a park and watch people, because I think people watching is fantastic. And you're a writer, you observe. That's your number one thing, is that you observe and you kind of put your observations, whether they're direct or filtered, onto the page, and modify them and embellish them or whatever. So I'll do a bit of stalking because it's pretty cool. And finally, the news. The news is another huge inspiration. Sometimes when it's particularly depressing, I tend to stay away from it, but as a grown-up, I probably shouldn't. So I like looking at the news and like the weird stories that come out, or the the really fascinating ones. There's one on the news yesterday where a teenager had been lost for 2 months. 2 months. And they found him in the bush. And it's kind of like, wow, how did you do that? Do you watch Man vs. Wild? Like, how does a teenager survive in the bush for 2 months? So that kind of story interests me. And then you've got like science, obviously. I don't know, just things like them trying to accelerate particles to light speed and trying to recreate the Big Bang. I mean, come on, that is scary, but really good for ideas. Anyway, I've been babbling for so long. Hopefully I've given you guys a bit to work on. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.